What's going on, everyone? We are back with part dos of our tips and tricks video series for Path of Exile. If you haven't seen the first one, don't worry. They're all completely new tips. They don't carry over, but I would suggest after watching this one, you check that one out also. Also, make sure you hit that subscribe button because, as one of the commenters mentioned, honestly, your channel popped up on my feed recently and I've been watching every video you've dropped. I was actually super surprised to see how small your sub count is. Me too, man. Me too. So yeah, anyway, this is going to be about 6 or 7 tips to go through, so let's start. Okay, so the first one we're going to go over is a very simple one, and it was reminded to me off of a comment on the part 1 video. And I often forget how many people actually don't know this, and it's a very easy trick, and that is to chisel your maps when they are white rarity. Okay, there's nothing on them. So you'll see here we have 3 maps. We have a rare, a blue, and a white. If I put a chisel on the rare map, it's going to give it 1 quality at a time. If I put it on the blue, it gives it 2. But if I put it on the white, it gives it 5. So you just do that 4 times, and you can do what, 20 chisels on a yellow map does. And then you can do whatever you want. Orb of chance there. Now it's a magic with 20. I didn't have to use 10 chisels. I only had to use 4. So very simple, very straightforward tip. But yeah, use this. All right, the next one is use Kirac to complete your Atlas tree and do different maps that you have not completed before. So I think he comes standard in a hideout. If he doesn't, what you're going to do, go down here in your base or hideout, click edit, go to decorations, type Kirac down here. He will pop up. In this, you will drag and drop him. Here he is right here. You will drag and drop him anywhere. What he's going to do is he's going to sell you maps. And these maps are what you need to complete to fill out more of your Atlas passive. Okay, your Atlas passive is what changes how maps react, the content you can find in maps, the amount of items you find in maps, and a whole bunch of other things. This is really where the game starts, and this is how you kind of change the game to your preferences and to what you find enjoyable. Okay, so what you are going to do is whenever you see a map, whether you find it or if you go to him to purchase them, you are going to hold Alt and you will see it displays Atlas map complete and bonus objective complete. The only thing you really care about is the bonus objective. What's the bonus objective? Okay, well, if there is a white icon on the map, it just needs to be magic. So use an Orb of Transmutation and just make it blue. Complete the map, defeat the map boss, you're good. If it is a yellow map, it has to be rare. Okay, so use an Orb of Alchemy or an Orb of Chance, anything to make it a rare item, or an Orb of Binding even. And then run it, kill the boss, you get the bonus objective, you get a Atlas skill point. Okay, the red ones, they have to be rare and corrupted. So what you would do, say if this said, incomplete on bonus objective, I have all my Atlas passives done, so all these are going to say complete. You can buy this. They get a little more expensive. That was 8 chaos, but it's generally worth it to get as many points as possible because it's going to exponentially make your mapping more fun with the fact you get to pick your content and more profitable because, item drops and all this other stuff you can do. Yeah, definitely doing that trade. Boy, am I glad I forgot to put on D&D mode for that. And when watching thinking, wow, 20 divines, that is left over from this video, which if you watch, you'll notice wasn't worth it still. And where was I? Kirac. Okay, so once you start getting these bonus objectives done, you are going to start filling out your Atlas passive tree. Now, another way to do it is as you do maps, you are going to get Kirac missions. And it's the same kind of thing. If you look, I have 35 right now. I haven't run them in a while. There's other benefits to these, but for the fact of map completion and for this tip, you're going to do the exact same thing. He is going to give you maps and you hover over with Alt held and you can see if there's any you've not completed and get, your Atlas point. If there's really none you can run, it's a free map. You should probably run them anyways, but if there's really none you can run and you have a bunch saved up, you don't have to run it. You can activate one, go up, go to the next one. However, see right here, there's a unique map. You can get unique maps in here. You can even get ones that are a lot more expensive to buy that are harder to find. So if you're trying to really fill out your map, there's a unique map that you need. Sometimes you get lucky. Instead of paying that 50-100 chaos just to knock it out and get it out of the way, you get it for free in a Kirac mission. So make sure you are using these. Okay? It really helps get that Atlas passive tree filled out. And lastly, I should mention on this that also with these Atlas passive points, you can start putting points into things like your maps have 1% chance to grant an additional Kirac mission on completion. There is maps found have 4% chance to be 1 tier higher. There's a couple that will make it so that monsters in your map have 2% chance in each of your map to drop an additional connected map. And that is helpful because if you just hit G, you will see these are all the maps. You can see they're all connected in some way. But a connected map, say if you had a alleyways map and that was completed and you had a couple of them, but you needed a stagnation map, that is a connected map. So if you run the alleyways map, it greatly increases your chances of finding a stagnation map. And there's more in-depth strategies on how to self-sustain certain maps that you want to run with, favored slots. I'm not going to go into that here, but just for the simple fact of this video and using Kirac and the passive tree to complete your Atlas, that is a good way to go about it. Next step I want to talk about is you need to try everything or try something new every once in a while. There are so many mechanics in this game between Delve, Heist, Delirium, Harvest, Legion, Breach, Metamorph, it's Abyss. It goes on, and the biggest mistake I see is people thinking that looks a little complicated, or I kind of like what I'm doing now with these mechanics. That's the wrong way to go about it. I didn't really get super into this game until I decided, all right, today I think I am going to learn Heist. I did that for a week and played Heist, and I thought, wow, this is actually really cool. Enjoyed it, played it, and then after I think a week or two went by, I was like, okay, I did that. That was fun, but let's try something else. Okay. That being said, when you go to the Atlas passive tree, you will see that there is nodes that I have allocated simply because the strategy I'm running, I only want 2 things to appear. But these nodes right here make it so your maps don't contain certain things, but they bump up the chances for the other stuff that can show up. So in the strategy, I'm using Delirium and Harvest. So I want the Sacred Grove to appear. And I also want the Delirium mirrors to appear at the beginning of maps. You should not touch these. Do not touch these if you're new, okay? You want stuff to appear, okay? You want to be able to go to the map device, and when you put a map in, especially in the beginning, you're going to want to run Fortune Favors the Brave, because what that's going to do is it's going to add an extra random mechanic into it, whether it's Delirium, Abyss, or something like that. But I cannot stress this enough. There are entire games in and of themselves in this game, especially ones like Delve and Heist could be standalone games that you could probably play for 30 to 40 hours for, or even longer and still not get bored of it and still enjoy it, and that's the game's free. This game's free and it has this much content. So make sure you are trying new things. Incredibly important. Once you start to learn some of the different mechanics and the different gimmicks and, the gimmicks that come with the seasons, you can start getting rid of some of the ones that you don't like. I still don't really suggest it unless you have a specific strategy that you are following that, suggests or you think it's better to make sure that only these things pop up and these things aren't worth it. Then go for it. And if you need a farming strategy, I put up a video. You could just go to YouTube, type in PoE farming strategy, pick up your keyboard, throw it up against the wall. It's a 50-50 chance you're going to land on one. It's literally half of the genre when it comes to videos and stuff. And when you do start to find certain mechanics that you just do not enjoy, and you're like, I tried it for a little while, I did not like it, I don't want to see it anymore, it annoys me, you can block it off. For me, I do not like Abyss that much, although I haven't tried it since they changed it. One thing I definitely don't like is Metamorph. Just never really enjoyed it. I don't think it's that fun. So I almost always block that off no matter what, because it's just not for me. But I know a lot of people that do like it and they don't block it off because they like doing it. Now, once you start getting more of these points and you find some things that you do like running, say if it was something like ritual, you would make sure that the ritual one of these is not checked. So right there, I have it blocked off, but you're going to want to start putting points in a ritual. You see, this is a ritual node. You can see where all the nodes are. If you hover over it and you click on this center icon, it's going to highlight all of the ritual nodes. So you can see, okay, those are the nodes that I'm going to want to focus on, and I want to take this path up the tree. And they do things like your maps have 5% chance to contain rituals, and it goes up 5, 5, 5, 15. Now, these were massively buffed. They used to be a lot lower percentages, and then finally GGG came to their senses, and they were like, let's just let them pick what they want to play most of the time. If they like a certain mechanic, let them play it more. And it was perfect. When they first did this, I actually ran Ritual because I really enjoyed Ritual. I took all these nodes, went up, took some of these nodes up here, get more spawn monsters and the rituals, and you can just really make the mechanics you like running more powerful. But until you find those mechanics, try everything. There's very few things that I haven't really tried at this point. I mean, I have like 4,000 hours in the game, so the fact there's stuff I haven't tried is both a testament to how much, content is in this game, and also how kind of I'm not practicing what I'm preaching and not doing it. For example, I still haven't done any incursion. It just looked complicated to me. I tried it a little bit and I was like, I'll come back to this. Didn't come back to it. That's a problem. I'm going to have to try it. Okay, so that is a great overview and a great reason to always be open to trying all of the mechanics to find what you like. Now, these are not set in stone. You can refund them just like passive points in your normal tree. Okay, you just use a different orb. Whereas your skill tree uses Orbs of Regret, you use Orbs of Unmaking that grants an Atlas passive skill refund point. So all of these are not set in stone, which is awesome because it means you can change your mind on what you want to force and, see more and everything. So you can try a lot of different things. And I highly, highly recommend doing that. I do it all the time. Every season, I think I switch strategies and what I want to play at least 3 or 4 times. Usually it goes the first week. I'll try Expedition for the 30th time and it'll be like, hey, yo, Tujin, let me get some currency. And she's like, ow. And then I cry a little bit and then I switch to a different strategy. She hates me. Why do you hate me, Tujin? Just let me get a divine or something. But keep that in mind that you don't have to be absolutely sure if what you put your points into is absolutely where you are going to end up once you get more of them from completing the bonus objectives of maps. One quick tip before I get to the last one is always change this, your left click, off of attack. It will default to this, unless there's a setting in the settings menu I haven't found. It will default to this. You never want to do this. 95% of the time, you want this at move only, and in the other 5% of the time, you would want something like shield charge or another movement skill that you want to be using to move anytime it's off of cooldown. But if you keep this on attack, you will try to get away from something. You will see a dangerous pack, click, and click another monster. You will do this weak attack. You will stand there, you will die, and you will feel really dumb. So make sure you are taking this off, putting on move only, or if you know your build calls for using a movement skill or something else, whenever humanly possible as you're moving around the map, that is when you do that. But just take it off attack, trust me. And the last thing I want to talk about is do not be afraid to use a build guide. There's a lot of controversy and like misleading thoughts that using a build guide means, oh, you're stupid, you can't figure it out for yourself. That is not how PoE works. It is a very complicated ARPG. Now, the first time you play the game and you run through, yes, it is fun to, kind of just pick your skills and start clicking things that make sense and just kind of winging it for a while. But you get a very harsh reality check once you start getting the maps, you start getting the higher maps. Now, you don't have to follow a guide to a T, but it's always good to get some guidelines. And it happens so often, and I'm sure people that have played this long enough and have tried to get friends to play it, or a friend plays it with them, and they say, no, I kind of just want to wing it, and you have that feeling. You're like, he's going to enjoy the game until he gets to maps, and he's going to start dying. And then he's just, I'm going to say, you should look up a guide or what build are you playing, what skill. I'll find a guide for you. And they're like, yeah, I mean, I'll look. And it doesn't happen. They just don't play again. It's happened to me countless times. Probably 90% of the friends that have started to play this game that I tried to get into the game, they just weren't having it. So sure, playing through the story like the first time is fun when you're winging it. Maybe the second time, that's kind of pushing it. But the real game, I mean, people say this, and I guess you could, counterpoint this, but honestly, I think the real game starts when you start mapping. That's when you start unlocking really powerful builds. You see the really cool bosses and all of that. So don't be afraid to use a guide. Now, where do you find those guides? Well, there's quite a few places. The first one is you just type it in YouTube. You don't even have to know what build you play. You can just type in PoE 3.21 Crucible builds. And you can go to this one, Splitting Steel by Big Ducks. You click on it. He, will run through it. You can get some good ideas. The ascendancy he picks, the class he picks, all that stuff is going to be in here. So YouTube is one way of doing that. Also, you can go to maxroll.gg. Now I don't really use this one much. I know a lot of people really like this, but I just haven't really used it that much, but I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure it's really good. Tribeholder Bear does a lot of builds. So I'm sure he has a bunch on here. Go to build guides, go crazy. Find something that sounds fun to you. Okay. And then another way that I do sometimes, if I don't want to watch a video, but I already kind of know the build, is I will go to poe.ninja. So say when I started a Flicker Strike, I followed a general guidelines build from like 3.19. And what I did was I followed that guide relatively, made some little adjustments that fit my playstyle a little bit more. And then I would go in here to PoE Ninja, go to builds. And what this is a database that does, I think, the first 100,000 characters that are rolled in the game, which is kind of unfortunate, which means if you make a new character today, you probably won't see it on here, no matter what, even if you hit level 100, because their database kind of gets full, or at least that's how it seems. That's how it works. I don't know if there's another way, if Add Your Character does it. I tried that, and I don't think it put any of my characters in here, even though I told it to. Oh, just kidding. It did do it. Okay, so Add Your Character can do it. That's not me. These two are. It must have taken a snapshot before I sold all her stuff, because she's naked as of now. Oh, nice. So when people ask me for my cast on Crate Ice Spear build, I can send them to this, even though none of this stuff exists. The Mage Blood is on my other character and everything. Okay, so that's one way to do it. So the way you do this is, right now Occultist is highlighted because I have it in search, but say you're applying a Tornado Shot Deadeye, and you're getting to the point where you want to bump up your damage. You can filter by clicking Deadeye, going down to main skills, finding Tornado Shot, clicking that, and then you could sort this by a bunch of ways. And of course, me being the person I am, I just do it so the highest DPS is up here. Now, keep in mind, don't fall into this trap with PoE Ninja. When you see something like this, someone has 221 million DPS, and the next person has 109, and they're in second. Keep in mind, a lot of these builds are for a very specific purpose. They could be for just one-shotting Uber bosses, or doing something like that. They could be terrible for mapping. So that's why this isn't always the best way to go about things, but I think it's a good way to get a guideline. So how do you see what they're using? You click on their name. You can see their links. You can see the items they use, their flasks. You could see their jewels, but even better yet, you can see their passive tree. And if you want to go even more in depth, they have the Path of Building code. Now, Path of Building is a tool, third-party tool that is very safe. What you will do is you will copy the code right here. You can either click copy or just copy and paste it yourself. You're going to download Path of Building. It's called POB Community. I don't know what fork is. I don't know if that matters. Okay. So anyway, Path of Building fork. and you will grab the latest release here, and it will go to a GitHub. You will download it, the exe. You will run it, and it will look like this when you open it. Now it might look like this when you first open it up. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to New. You are going to go to Import, Export, Build. Now you have the code, so you go to Import a Build, enter URL or code here. I am going to put the code from PoE Ninja in here, and I have a more comprehensible way of seeing everything about this build, this Tornado Shot build. You can see where exactly he put the Lethal Pride Jewel. You can see what cluster jewels he uses and everything. You can see the nodes he takes. You can go over to skills. You can see his, his links that he has in his equipment. You can go to items, see all of his items in this way. And you can do a ton of stuff with this. I don't suggest trying too hard to learn it perfectly for a while, because it does get really complicated, especially if you get good enough, you start theory crafting your own builds. This can get extremely overwhelming. But for now, let's just take it as I can see what he took. I can see what gems he's using. I can see what links he has in certain sockets, and I can see his items. Okay, so following a guide, there is nothing wrong with it. There's no shame in it. It's a very complicated game. The game is almost made to follow guides some of the time and at least get tips, or else you're going to get burnt out really quick trying to make your character better, and you have no idea how to do that. All right, so that is the tips and tricks video part 2 here on Safe on Talk. So like, comment if you enjoyed it. Any new tips that you didn't find until maybe a month or two in your PoE career that really helped you, leave them down in the comments, and I will read them. Any questions, of course, let me know that you have. I will try. I read pretty much all the comments, as long as they aren't just incredibly hateful or something stupid, even though I don't think I've gotten any like that since I started doing PoE content. I will respond to them, whether positive or negative. And make sure you click that subscribe button. My next video, I believe, I'm going to bite the bullet, and I am going to try out the MF Magic Find. I think it's a dead eye, but the build that a ton of videos are being put out that seemed a lot of complicated for people, but I haven't really followed it. So I am basically going to document it. And I'm pretty sure it uses a headhunter, and it's expensive, which means I'm probably going to have to sell my mage blood just to downgrade to a headhunter. And I'm going to cry, and it's going to be bad. I need emotional support, so I need you guys to be on the lookout for that. Okay? But until next time, thank you for watching, and take it easy.